Hi everybody. We're coming to the end here, believe it or not. Now we're going to do first the cloth lining here in the center across the spine, then the walls on the inner shell, then the two bases. Okay, so I've already cut this piece of cloth. It's just a hair taller, or it's actually just a hair shorter than the height of the inner shell. I'm going to miter off both sides here. So I'll slide this over here so it's centered. Front to back, top to bottom. And I'm just going to take my folder. There we go. Give it a little squudge into the joint. When I measured this, this width, I did it with a strip of paper, and I ran the paper, I pushed the paper down into the joints too, because you need that little bit of extra. You don't want it to be too short. Okay, so now that I've done that, excuse me, I'm just going to give these two a fairly shallow miter, just to where the joint starts, and these two are actually about the same. Get rid of these. Okay. All right, so I'm going to glue this up. Glue's over there rather than over here. Smart. Okay. This is PVA for the inner joint, or for the spine. Everything else will be paste and paper, Hanyo Buga, which is the same paper that was used for the end sheets. Sometimes you have to put up with these little intrusions. Make sure it's straight across here. Start at the center. Right. See the fingers. All right. So I'm laying it down on the spine first. I'll come back with my folder. Work it down. Across. Same on this side. Okay, so there's just a little bit of a miter there, so it doesn't just come straight across. Make sure everything is firm, especially against the edges of the boards. Okay. All right. So there's that. Throw away the newsprint. Geez, everybody's here today. Look at the tail. Come on, babe. Come on. Come on, sir. Thank you. Okay. Next are the wall boards for this inner shell. They need to be wide enough so that they come, you start it with a little bit of margin here at along the edge, come down and then onto the base. So this is going to be plenty tall enough. You also want them long enough so that they can lap onto this long board. So I've cut them like so. I just measure it, cut it a little to the forward, to the, little to the inside, maybe half, 3/4 of an inch. All right, so now the other thing to keep in mind is that on a paper like this, I'm not sure if you can see, there are significant differences in texture between the wire side and the felt side. So you want to make sure, I want the wire side to show. So you have to make sure when you cut everything that, you know, you cut it so that everything is going to work the way it's supposed to. These guys aren't symmetrical, so you can't cut them both at the same time. The other thing to keep in mind is that you want the paper grain to run lengthwise on the walls. Okay, you want it to go this way. You don't want it to go up and down. You want it to go longwise. Okay, so here's my first one. You also have to do a little miter on here. The way that I do it is I just put it against the wall and I give it a little push here, and that will leave me, see that little dent there? That's about where you're going to come. You're going to cut that off at 45 degrees, just a little to the outside of the dent. Give yourself some slack. So this one's going to go on this side. This one will go on this side. The long one, I'll also miter that, but not yet. So let's get these guys adhered. So I'm going to paste these. Now these go down with paste. You need the time to do this. So you really want to work with paste. Oh, there's my paste brush. Another useful thing is when you're going to do kind of a largish project like this, either size-wise or significance, it's good to make the paste the same day so it's nice and fresh. All right, so here's my pasted piece. I'm going to let that sit and relax a little bit before we actually put it on. I can go ahead and paste this one out while I'm waiting. I may have to repaste it before I put it on. We'll see. There. Okay. And again, this is a little. Don't do that. It's a little awkward. I'm not sure how much you can see here. How much can I see? Not a whole lot. All right. This is going to have to be a little bit by guess and by God. So I'm going to lay this here. You want roughly the same distance at the top of the wallboard and at the front of the wallboard, roughly. Okay. Work it down. You can see. There we go. I could have cut that a little closer, but that's all right. Better to leave a little bit extra than to cut it too short and have a hole. This is where these little pointy guys come in handy because you can work that down. Don't put a hole in the paper. Okay, a little crinkle here, you can fix that. All right, this is still okay, so I can go ahead and get this on. Same thing here. Actually, it's easier to do it this way now that I can kind of look across here. There we go. I should have done it, that's how I should have done it with the first one. Live and learn. The other thing about fresh paste is, of course, you have a minimum of, little extra lumps of stuff. So it just makes things go a little faster, too. And be careful when you work into the corners, because you do want to get it in there well, but you don't want to, again, you don't want to damage the paper. Let's take this. Throw that away too. Okay. Everybody see what's going on here? I hope. All right. Now it's time to get the long wall. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to line it up with the top of the paper on each side and just give a little crease down at the bottom here. Doesn't need to be much. It'll just make it a little nicer. Okay, we'll just let that sit for a minute. Don't take too long. By giving the paper time to relax a little bit, it will also go across any corners without bridging them. It'll go down nicely into the angle. So you want to give it a little bit of time to humidify and relax. That's a kind of a rule of thumb for any time you're going to be working with paste and paper. And different papers obviously will react differently to humidity. Plus, of course, you've got the ambient humidity in your workspace too. So I'm going to line that up there. I'm going to line this up here. Bring this over a little bit. Not supposed to do that. Okay. All right. Now we just have to do the two bases. Now, something to be aware of. Actually, I want to show you, and by doing this, it's a good way to do it. Okay, the words are not coming out well this morning. Okay, so that's what it's going to be when it's done. This is a good place to show you how to manipulate a larger piece of material that has adhesive on it, because getting this down could be really problematical. But there is a technique which works really well, which I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to paste out the sheet. brush is starting to lose its hairs all of a sudden. That's not good. Whoa. Okay. You're coming back here, aren't you? Come on, go over that way. What happens is, all we're going to do is we're going to pick up our piece of lining paper. We're going to lay it down good side down. You want to make sure, obviously, this is very clean. You're going to go like this. Okay? And now all you have to do is roll it over and put it where you want it to go. I'm going to line it up at the foredge. And then pick it up. And again, because this is paste, you can reposition it as necessary. You have lots of working time. But by doing it that way, it just makes things a whole lot easier. Wait a minute. This needs to come up just a little bit. Let's see if I can get that up. Yeah. There we go. That's fine. Okay. And by letting it relax, you're not going to get any bubbles or anything. So one more piece, which is the outer shell liner. Keep it in the light with the brush. Nice tone though. Slide this over. All right, here we are. Okay. Same deal here. Good side down. Because if you try and maneuver it down with adhesive down, you know, with it in the correct orientation, as soon as it touches, you're going to get paste on the substrate, and it's going to make it very difficult, A, to move, and B, to just keep everything clean. So by doing it this way, everything stays clean pretty much throughout the process. Now I've cut this so that there should be roughly the same amount of cloth showing around the paper. That'll do. That? Just a little off. Could have made this a little bit bigger, but I chose to do it this way, so there you go. All right, and you can see where the miters come in. They just make it look a little more finished. And that, I am going to put a packing piece in this, but that's kind of an extra detail that we don't need to worry about at this stage in the game. So there is a clamshell box. Fancy a clamshell box, but that's okay. Fancy's good. This is probably dry enough now. I can gently close it. That's a nice sound. Okay. And just because I can, I'm not going to put the book in, but this is the book that goes in it. Okay. It's kind of my rule of thumb that if I do a design binding like this, it gets a clamshell box. I know that there are a lot of people that like slipcases, and then there's the French style, which gets a little chemise, and then it slides in the slipcase. And those are all, you know, equally valid. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just, you know, I just kind of fond of this style of presentation. So, thank you again for hanging around. I know it's been kind of weird. Any questions or comments, please post them, and I'll be glad to address them. Again, thank you to everybody for coming back here and watching all the silliness. And I will be back again soon with something else, very possibly sewing. I'm not sure. If anybody has anything they'd like to see, please let me know, because I'd be glad to address, you know, individual concerns. All right, that's it. We're done. Thank you again, and I hope you got something out of us. Take care.